We take more medications than any other country in the world. Think about that. We are 5% of the world's population, yet we take 70% of the medications in the entire planet. So if it was all about taking more medications, we should be the healthiest country in the entire planet. We have more hospitals, more doctors than any other country in the entire planet. We literally take 90% of the painkillers and 99% of the oxycodone. And so if that was the solution, then we should be number one. Yet right now, what we find is we are number 42 in the world. If you go to Bosnia, Serbia, Cuba, like many third world countries, actually you have a longer health expectancy than in living in the United States. So if we do what everybody else is doing, guess what we'll end up with? What everybody else has, right? So if we wait until we go into a crisis, where most people are with their health, when we're 16 years old, what were you thinking about with your health when you were 16? Probably nothing, right? It was just like, oh, it'll wash it off, it'll just go away. But as we get a little bit older, we're like, oh, those little aches and pains aren't going away. And then all of a sudden, one day, everything that seemed fine all of a sudden seems to be in a crisis. And then we start saying, oh, I need to take care of myself. I need to do something about this. And then what we do is we go to the doctor. He looks at us and he says, oh, okay, so take this and you won't feel this. And then you take that and you don't feel it. But does it ever fix the problem? No. Right? And so then what happens is that when every medication has a side what? Side effect, right? So when we start experiencing the side effects of the medication, then we get another one. And by the time you're 65, the average person is taking 7 or more medications on a daily basis. None of them have been studied to go together. None of them have been studied if they work effectively there. And that is our healthcare plan. In fact, by the time our healthy life expectancy ends at 69 years old. Meaning that the average person, they don't go to church, they miss time with their family, they miss their kids' sports, they dedicate everything they can to be able to make money their entire life. And then eventually they get to the age of 65, they retire with all the money, and then their number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States, do you know what it is? Health-related medical bills. The number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States, and we spend the next 10 years of our life just trying to stay alive. And so tonight's about doing something different. And if you guys, I'm just going to ask you not to think like me, but I'm going to ask you to think tonight. Right? And it's a rare thing these days, but I want you to start thinking about what we're talking about. What is health? What is the meaning of health? What do you really want out of your life? Because if you think about it, what is your most valuable asset that you have?
Health.
Right. And you lose it, what do you lose? Everything, right? And you have it, you can do anything. I firmly believe that we're all called to run a race. And God doesn't need us walking across the finish line. He needs us running across that finish line at 100% for the rest of our lives. And so that's what tonight's about. And this is a personal story for me, because why else would I be spending time away from my family? My son's going off to college tomorrow. I could be sitting at home tonight with him. But my family knows we're on a mission. They see what we've been doing over the last 30 years. And this year, and I know some of you know that this is the year that I outlived my father. So think about it. What is the role of a father in somebody's life, right? He's the person that I looked up to, the person that I wanted to be. My dad was an amazing human being. He was a member of Mensa for Geniuses at the age of 16. Think about that. 16-year-old member of Mensa. He was a collegiate scholarship athlete, and he got a full ride scholarship for his grades. He went on and worked on the electron microscope, did amazing things there. Never took drugs, never smoked, never did anything. And then all of a sudden he's 45 years old, he's out running, and he has a heart attack. Doesn't know he has a heart attack, he thinks he's just out of shape, so he starts running harder and ends up face down in the street. Luckily, by the grace of God, somebody found him laying in the street, called 911. They get him there. Now, the hospital, and then they start what we call the process. Have you guys ever known anybody that's had a heart attack before? The moment they go in the hospital, next thing you know, they come out with 5 different medications. It's just the basic protocol there. And I actually took from his medical records some of the things that they gave him. The first thing they gave him Lipitor, even though his cholesterol levels were medium, but they said, oh, we need to give you Lipitor, which is a statin to keep your cholesterol down there. What they didn't tell is that it destroys memory, causes diabetes there. Second thing they gave him was something called latinolol, which is a blood pressure medication to keep his blood pressure down. What they didn't tell him is that it causes memory loss, confusion, dizziness, and diabetes. Does anybody know anybody that's taking some of these medications? Yeah, right? They gave him aspirin to prevent a stroke just in case he was going to have a stroke. They didn't tell him that it causes side effect is diabetes, increased risk of cancer and heartburn there. They gave him warfarin, which was first developed as to give to rats, to kill rats. And so they gave him warfarin there to thin the blood out there. And one of the side effects is Alzheimer's disease for warfarin and those blood thinners. And then they gave him lisinopril to lower his blood pressure, creating insomnia, digestive issues. And so how do you think he's feeling at this time? He doesn't feel like himself, but they're trying to save his life. Now, my thing is that, great, if you have a problem, look, let's do what we can to save your life right now. But doesn't it make sense to actually get to the cause and find out why it happened in the first place? So as time goes on, he starts having memory issues. He develops diabetes, a man that never really ate sugar or anything like that. And so then they put him on another medication. It's called the Avandia. Now, Avandia is actually banned because about 50,000 people died from it. It's a diabetes medication of heart attacks from that. But we wait until we get enough people die before we take a medication off the market. That's our healthcare system that we're talking about right now. That's the system that everybody is a part of trying to stay alive. That's why we do something different in our office, and that's why it's important that you guys are here tonight. They also they put him on Prozac because he started to get depressed because he just didn't feel like himself anymore. Long story short, he ends up, starts taking Nexium for the medications because of all the medications that were hurting his stomach. He starts getting anxiety from the side effect of the Prozac that he was taking there. And Viagra, which is because of all those medications and the blood pressure medications, less than heart drive, he's on like 11 different medications. This is within 2 years, this is a man that's never, ever taken a medication in his life. Do you guys know people like this? Like that's their life, right? We have parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles that they literally, their best friend is their pharmacist there. And I had a sit-down conversation with them. And there's a time that we all have this one moment, this one day that changes all the rest. And the conversation I had with him is, I have a sister, actually I have 5 sisters. And I said, are you going to walk your daughters down the aisle? Because you're not going to be walking your daughters down the aisle at this pace there. He gets off 8 of his medications. One of the side effects, by the way, of the medication he was taking was they're carcinogenic, meaning they cause cancer. And so here he is, he's off his medications, he's running, he's exercising again, he literally slips off the curb, sprains his ankle. VA takes care of everything for him, and they start sending him Tylenol by mail. And what they find is, do you guys know that if you take 1,600 milligrams of Tylenol for 2 weeks or more, it causes liver damage? Within a month and a half, he ends up with liver cancer. 6 weeks later, he dies. And that's why I'm here tonight. And I think that what I want you to think about is my son that's going off to college. I came home one day, and it was after a dinner, and he said, Dad, what is it that you do? And I said, my job is to make sure that your sister has somebody to actually walk them down the aisle. Other dads get to walk their daughter down the aisle. They get to come home and spend dinner. And so, in looking at this and the mess that we have as a healthcare system, people brought you here because they knew something had to change. Somebody had to do something different. Somebody has to stand in the gap, and that's what tonight's about. And so, what I'm going to ask you to do is start thinking about what is health. Okay? What is health? And I will tell you it comes in 4 letters. You ready? H, E, A, L. Health is your body's ability to heal. When your body cannot heal, you cannot be healthy. And when your body can heal, then and only then you can be healthy. That's all health is. It's the first 4 letters of the word health is heal. Think about that. And so then the question is that what controls the healing of your entire body? Has anybody thought about that? Like, what controls healing? Well, I will tell you this. God put the most amazing healing power in your body and your brain. Okay? Your brain literally sends messages down your spinal cord, out the nerves to every single tissue, cell, and organ. So for your heart to beat, for your lungs to breathe, for you to fight cancer, for you to heal a cut on your arm, for you to be able to stand up, and for you to be able to hug the people that you love, those messages have to get down and interfered with. And it's so important. It's the only part of your body that actually has bone there to protect it. That's how important it is. So there's literally a suit of armor that protects that lifeline, that river of life that flows down into your body there. And so from the front, that spine has to be straight. From the side, it has to have 3 nice smooth curves. It's not a good idea to have it like that. That's how it's supposed to be. The problem is the way that we live our life is genetically incongruent for us to have good spinal health. How do most of us spend our day? Right? We're like this at the computer, right? And when we're not at that, we're like watching our Facebook or whatever it is, right? And think about the 1-year-old kids that know how to steal a phone now, and they're being babysat by the phone, right? How many times have you guys seen like a 2-year-old being babysat by a phone? Every kid, like kids with their own iPads that they sit at the dinner table and they're like this while the parents are talking there. Think about what that's doing to a developing spine. I fell at my grandmother's house when I was 6 years old out of the treehouse. Did anybody think anything about it? No, they're like, oh, he's fine. He's fine. And then I played football, and then I wrestled, and then I had 2 car accidents when I first was learning to drive. But nobody thought about that because I was fine, right? And how many of us have had injuries like this over time? And then we wake up one day and we're like, what is happening to my body, right? Because watch this. So let's say we're talking about your heart right now, and I go in there and I cut the nerves that go to your heart. What happens to your heart? Yeah, it stops, right? Like, does that make sense? Like, if I cut the nerves that go to your eyes, what happens to your vision? What if I have a small little tumor that slowly grows, putting pressure on the nerves that go to the eyes? What's happening to your vision? You slowly lose it over time, right? What if I have a little bit of pressure on that nerve that goes to the heart, and I leave it there for time, a day, a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Are you going to have a healthy heart or sick heart? Do you see how that works? Because we put pressure on there, life can't flow to that heart. When life doesn't flow to that heart, it can't function right. If you don't have life to your lungs and you get COVID, guess what happens? It's not able to respond. It's not the strength of the virus, it's the strength of the host that matters, right? Why does one person get COVID and they come out fine, and then you have another person that gets COVID and they're in the hospital hanging on to like a fingernail? It's not the virus. The same virus got everybody. It's the strength of the host. And that's what this is about. It's the person's ability to heal, because there is a power that made your body and there's a power that heals your body. It doesn't happen any other way. So if you have pressure on the nerve, if you have a twisting or shifting of the spine that puts pressure on the nerves that go to the thyroid, what's your doctor going to diagnose you with? Thyroid problem. What's he going to give you? Do you have a thyroid deficiency? No, you have something interfering with your thyroid working. What if those nerves go down to your stomach and every time you eat, you get heartburn? What's he going to give you? Heartburn medication. Is he ever going to look at what controls the function of your stomach there? And as long as you have that pressure on that nerve that goes to your stomach, how long are you going to have to take that heartburn medication for? Do you see how this works? How many times if somebody says, I get constipation, I can't go to the bathroom on a regular basis, and those nerves come right down to the colon there, putting pressure. Think about, can the colon, your intestines actually work and absorb nutrients, and you go to the bathroom if you have pressure on the nerves that go to the colon there? And so what do? We take Metamucil or Mucilex or something else to try to control the body, to try to fool the body, but you can never fool the body. I'm going to tell you guys a little secret. You guys want a secret? If your doctor knows what one of your cells needs, then he can actually make a decision on what kind of medications you need. Imagine you have 50 trillion cells in your body. Does your doctor know what all 50 trillion cells of your body need right now? No. Like, think about that. Every medication affects every single cell. So watch this. There's only 2 things that your body, there's one thing that determines whether you're going to be healthy, and that's if you have a healthy cells. Number 2 is there's 2 causes. One is either toxicity, right? You're either toxic in something, something's interfering with that cell being able to work, or you're deficient in something. So if you don't have the nutrients that you need, if I don't let you have water, then you'll be deficient. Your body won't work. If I don't let you have food, you'll be deficient in food. If I don't let you have air, or happiness or joy, a deficiency will break your body down. How you perceive the world, though, right, is through your nervous system. So think about what is the greatest deficiency. If I cut that nerve to that heart, that's a deficiency in life getting through to that heart. There's no way those cells can work. If I have pressure on there, we already talked about that heart's not going to work right because of a deficiency. And that's why our office is very different than many other offices. It's not just about where your back hurts. Does it hurt right here? I have a headache. My job, our job, Dr. Joss's job and myself, all of our team members' job is to make sure that you live healthy to 100, okay? When was the last time you had a doctor that even talked about you getting to 100 years old? I look in the Bible, it says we're supposed to be 120 in Genesis, right? Why do we accept mediocrity of like, hey, they lived a good life to 80 years old? It's time to start raising our game. We got a purpose here on this planet. It's not to be here sick and deficient and toxic and just struggling to make it through the day, trying to get over one disease, trying to get over the next disease. No, it's about, as a max living doctor, my job is, hey, the first thing that we want to do is we want to get your brain, your spinal cord, and your nerves functioning so that you can perceive the world, you can adapt to stress, your body can function at 100% of the time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about other things that influence health. We're going to talk about nutrition. There's a way that your body's designed to eat. I always talk about we have foods by God and foods by man, right? If you feed like man's foods like Burger King, right? Guess what's going to happen? You're going to have man's diseases, right? If you feed foods by God, like the things that were created, like green vegetables and eating like grass-fed beef, your body's going to be able to replace itself, regenerate itself. The other thing that we look at influencing health is we look at toxicity. Did you guys know that there's 80,000 chemicals that we're exposed to on a daily basis that are allowed to be on the market? Less than 4% of those have actually been studied for safety. And almost none of them have been studied to be mixed together, right? Like think about how many chemicals, what was it, Dr. Doss, you did a class, I think it was like, how many chemicals was a woman exposed to on a daily basis? Do you remember that? It was something? 75 to 80,000 chemicals a day. Think about how marvelous and amazing your body is that it can deal with 75 to 80,000 chemicals in a day and actually still survive there. We also look in our office, we also look at exercise and movement because exercise brings oxygen to your cells. If you don't have oxygen, what do we call that? There's a term. If I put a pillow over your face, I'm doing what to you? That's suffocation. So if you're not exercising, you're like, I don't like to exercise, guess what you're doing to your body? You're suffocating your body there. If we don't feed our bodies the right foods, we call that starvation, right? If we don't give it the right amount of water, we call it dehydration. The term that we use for that misalignment is subluxation. That's that term that we use for that. And it creates a deficiency in the body of how your body perceives, responds to the world that you live in, and how your body heals. And that's what our job is. Most people, in fact, I'm going to make a bold statement, nobody has a health problem, they have a healing problem. And once we understand that we have a healing problem, then what we can do is start making better decisions. If it's just about symptoms, it's really easy to cover up a symptom. I can give you a drug for anything that'll make you feel better. But can your doctor help your body do what it was designed to do for hundreds of generations before you actually heal? That's what our job is. And so that's why we're here tonight, because there's got to be a better plan. Does anybody not want to be healthy here, by the way? Right? And because you guys are here, it means that you guys are action takers. Like there's people that say they want something, but they don't do it. And guess where they are right now? They're at home, ordering DoorDash, sitting on their phone, watching Breaking Bad season 7 for the 3rd time there, wondering why they feel as bad as they do and say that tomorrow I'm actually going to do something different there. And guess what? Tomorrow's going to come and it's going to be the same as yesterday there. And so today is about an opportunity for you guys to take action and actually step outside of your comfort zone, step outside of what we've been doing on a consistent basis and create a different vision of your life of what it could be. It's a life of possibility. It's a life of not reacting to our problems, but being proactive so that we can choose how we want to feel for the rest of our lives there. And so what we do is when we go to dinners, normally, if you guys, I actually took my dog to the vet the other day. Do you know how much 2 x-rays was at my vet? It was $350 for the x-rays and $150 for them to read the x-rays there. Literally $500 for the x-rays. And I'm like, I'm gonna bring him to the office. I don't even know what I'm looking at a dog's x-rays. But, and if, like, think about what an exam is. Has anybody been to the emergency room? Like what the cost of just like going to, it's like $5,000 when you go to the emergency room before you turn around. Like in our office, normally when somebody comes in, we believe that healthcare should be affordable to all people, right? We want to have it, like everybody that wants to be healthy should have the opportunity. So normally when somebody comes in the office, it's $285 to be able to, if we were to do an exam, we're going to do x-rays there. And this is what it looks like when you come in. You'll come in, we'll sit down and we'll talk about what your goals are, what you really want to achieve in your life. And to be able to start establishing a plan, we'll do an exam. We'll do an exam and we'll look at your spine, we'll look at your nervous system, we'll check you on our computer, we'll do it like looking at how balanced your nervous system is there. And then once we do that, once we do the scan, once we take the x-rays, we're not going to just like say, hey, maybe this is what's going on. We have 4 doctors at our office. We're going to sit down, we're going to go over those x-rays with the doctors, we're going to mark them up, we're going to analyze them, and then what we're going to do is we're going to sit down with you, and we're going to say, hey, look, this is what we found. And this is what we can do. And if you want our help, we'd love to be able to help you. And if we can help you, we'll let you know. And our promise is if we can't help you, we'll also let you know and we'll get you to the right place. The next thing is that we'll set up a time afterwards. It's not just knowing what the problem is, but we want to know what the solution is. Does that make sense? Have you guys ever been to a doctor and they give you a diagnosis or a label? Oh, you have whatchamacallitis, right? You have this big, long Greek word that nobody can even pronounce. But they don't tell you what to do about it. Oh, you're just going to have to learn to live with it. That's what your label is. Jean-Paul Sartre, he's a philosopher, he said, once you label me, you negate me. Meaning that once you put a label on me, you stop remembering who I really am. And I think that's my job, is to help you remember who you are and whose you are. Because I think that you are brilliant and powerful on the inside.